With Sonic X Shadow Generations right around the corner, I felt it would be a great time to talk about this new game coming out. This game is going to be so important to the franchise as it is directly contrasting with Sonic Generations. Now this is really important because this Sonic Generations game is considered to be one of the best games across the entire franchise. And with all this news, I just wanted to talk about a few things I want to see in the game before it releases in about 3 weeks. Now we already have multiple levels confirmed for this game, like Chaos Island, Space Colony Arc, Sunset Heights, and many others. But we'll talk about those in a second. Right now, I want to talk about what I want to see in the game that has not been confirmed. This video will be split up into 2 sections. What levels I want to see in the game, and what directions I want the story to take in terms of this game. Now on the story side of this, I would like to see many things. But this video can't go forever, so I have made a short list. We know that Sonic and Shadow's stories will clash at some point, most likely with the rival fight about halfway through the original generations. So I'm hoping that you get to play as Sonic for a little part during Shadow's story, much like how we would swap between characters mid-level in Sonic 06. And this is confirmed to be in the game, so maybe we can get something like that in that section of the game. As well as this, in Shadow's Dark Beginnings animes that have been releasing, episode 3 is still not out yet, so we can't confirm what I want to see. But I would like to see if Rouge would be a playable character in the story, or have some significance at least. It would be extremely good story-wise because it could bring some sort of important jewel, like the object Shadow was seen carrying at the end of Space Colony Act 1. Now adding on to this, we saw that Mephiles was confirmed in one of the latest trailers, and I think he will have some significance to the story, although maybe just being a boss fight. He could kind of tease Shadow in a way, knowing about his past and other stuff that Shadow has done before. This would be extremely good because after the events of Sonic 06, they were actually retconned in the game by erasing those events from time. Therefore, Mephiles will know who Shadow is, but Shadow won't know Mephiles, so he can tease him in ways that Shadow won't understand and will be extremely tortured by, most likely. Now this would be extremely good story-wise, because during the trailer, as we get a shot of Mephiles, he says he shall put our powers to the test. This is a line said by Black Doom. Now this could be referring to Shadow's new Doom powers, or his Chaos Control, but I believe this could be the fact that he is being tested because he was much weaker last time he fought Mephiles, and this could be a test and a presentation of how much more powerful Shadow has grown since his first encounter with Mephiles. Whilst on the topic of boss fights and their impact on the story and what that could do, I think that Infinite should make a return from Sonic Forces. Now we already got a confirmed level of Sunset Heights to be in Sonic Forces, while most of it is in the sewers. We can see gameplay clips where they're in the city, shown clearly by PlayStation's trailer, showing the DualSense haptic feedback. If Infinite was to return, this could be a great chance in the story, as he could have maybe 1 or 2 levels before his boss, where he starts to impact the terrain around Shadow, making his Doom powers much more needed, and he could also use the Phantom Ruby, if this is a version where he still has it, as a way of attacking Shadow going to boss, changing the terrain, like I said, using the Ruby to alter reality and maybe change Shadow's perspective, putting him upside down, maybe running on the walls. This could be something really good. I do want Infinite to return. He really should return. I hope that he does. And if he does return, just know that I called it. As well as this, moving away from Infinite, if he is to be a rival fight, we already know that Mephiles is most likely going to be a rival fight. But in the original base generations, there was 3 rival fights. So who do we think should be best for a 3rd rival fight? Well, in my opinion, I believe it will most likely be Sonic. Now this is already pretty obvious considering their stories will clash, and they do clash in the original base generations, as there is a rival fight between Sonic and Shadow above the Escape's entrance to the level. I do think, however, this will change the story of the original generations, as the level terrain will be much different, and most likely still a Space Colony arc, yes, as a reference to Sonic Adventure 2, but I actually do believe that will take place in a straight line instead of a circle. Now, I know this is a small difference, but there is a reason for this. With Shadow now having his Doom powers, what could happen is, while Sonic is chasing the pink orbs needed to attack Shadow with the asteroids, Shadow could be collecting rings to activate his Doom powers, whilst also using those to attack Sonic. You see that, because we see this in the base generations, as once Shadow gets his pink orbs, he begins to use Chaos Control and Chaos Spears on Sonic, showing that he has these powers at this point. Anyway, that's enough of me talking about the story of the boss fights. I'm gonna let Sega handle the rest. Moving on to the gameplay and levels. Now, with the amount of levels they have to choose from here, there is a lot to pick. But I do think that Shadow on Chaos Island makes the most sense for some Frontiers representation. But I also think that they should pick a Lost World level. Now, I'm not sure which one, but I do think a Lost World level would fit well. Now, a lot of people were confused why Shadow would be on Chaos Island, especially as if the story takes place during the same time as Generations, this will be the same Shadow during Generations base game, therefore he will have never gone to Chaos Island at that point. While this is true, he also goes to Sunset Heights probably later in the game, and he was in Sunset Heights actually. During episode Shadow, there is 2 levels that take place in Sunset Heights, and as well as this, in the base Sonic Forces game, instead of the episode Shadow DLC, you have to chase Shadow through Sunset Heights, well, more run towards him, in level 15 of Sunset Heights Sonic Forces. So, Shadow has entered Sunset Heights before. It is just a case of it's happening after this game takes place. So obviously there's some future shenanigans going on here. But as well as this, people have actually found a reason for why Shadow would be on Chaos Island to begin with. You see, if you take a look at the one shot you can see in the trailer of Shadow being on Chaos Island, well, not the one shot, but one of the shots on the trailer, you can see that the volcano is erupting in the background. And the only time you see this happen in in Frontiers is when Sonic beats the pinball minigame to enter the night boss battle. Therefore, I think that Shadow's levels are going to take place while Sonic is doing his things. Like how in the Act 1 you can see the volcano erupting, therefore Sonic is playing the pinball machine whilst Shadow's Act 1 is playing. And what a lot of people, and myself included, really want to be able to see is in Act 2, if you could see Supersonic fighting Knight in the background with Find Your Flame playing. No, I've not seen anyone say Find Your Flame, but I really want to see Find Your Flame in this game as a remix, and I would be so grateful to Sega if they did this. Anyway, moving on from the confirmed levels, I want to talk about a few levels that I would like to see in the game myself personally. One level of my choosing would be Metropolitan Highway from Sonic Forces. Now this stage doesn't get much use, only about 3 levels at best. But I believe that this would be a great location for Shadow. Now I'll admit he's never gone here, we all know this, but it's a big highway. It's a great place for Sega to show off Shadow's great new speed. This would be the perfect place. I mean, come on Sega, it's obvious! Now, another game that got a confirmed level in this Sonic X Shadow Generation game is Sonic Heroes with Rail Canyon. Now, another game I would like to see from Sonic Heroes is Seaside Hill, but that is already in the base generation, so I think we will just leave it there. We don't need it in both parts. But I do think Grand Metropolis would be a great place for Shadow to visit. Now, I do believe this for at least 1 or 2 reasons. One, it is a really good area that they could make into an open exploration type level like they did with Kingdom Valley and the new gameplay releases. This is a great thing that they could do for this game, and as well as this, they could also put a boss fight in here as a background, maybe one of the rival fights. No, not maybe not as a rival fight, but they could use Grand Metropolis as the background for the already confirmed Metal Overlord boss fight, which looks really cool. They could use Grand Metropolis as a background for that boss. If they do, I will be so thankful. I'm buying this game straight away if they do. Even though personally I have never played Sonic Heroes besides the first couple of levels. Now I also think they could add a location from Sonic Colors. So you might be wondering, what the hell, Sonic Shadow wasn't in Sonic Colors? And you're right, he was not. But he was in the DS version of the game, which released exclusively on, well, the Nintendo DS, as the name implies. But I do think that Shadow would be great in one of these levels, especially Asteroid Coaster. It's such a dark theme that would really fit with Shadow's vibe. With all the aliens and wisps being tortured, it would be just a great setting for Shadow to run through. And I really think that this would be a great addition to the game, especially giving some Colors representation after they've messed it up with the old Generations Planet Wisp level. Generations did not handle Planet Wisp well, and I really hope that if they do this, they get it right this time in Shadow Generations. The final level I think they should add is probably White Acropolis from Sonic 06. Now, we already have Kingdom Valley, and they are doing Sonic 06 injustice with this, but I do think White Acropolis would be a really good snow level for them to use a snowboarding feature, and also a stealth feature. In Shadow Story of Sonic 06, the opening level is White Acropolis, and what you have to do is sneak around the level and disable these watchtowers, and I think that would be a really cool mission, or at least a side mission, for the Sonic 06 area of Shadow's White Space hub world. And this could have so much potential as a skateboarding minigame, its own level, maybe where Mephiles gets introduced, at least in a cutscene before taking Shadow to the original boss arena. There are so many possibilities they could go with for White Acropolis, and I would be really thankful if they put it in. I can't wait for this game to release. That is enough on the gameplay side of things and what levels I would like to see in the game. And there you have it. That is what I would like to see in the story and the gameplay / levels of Shadow Generations, which is the new port of Sonic Generations. Now, I'm really excited to see how Sega handles all of these different levels that are confirmed, and what they do for the ones people want to see, but probably won't come into the game, at least until they get DLC for it. Now, in my opinion, I think they should add all of these levels, but I'm not counting on it. This is just my personal opinion. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.